The 1996 World Cup final was a very even affair because on the one hand you had a very strong and settled Australia lineup. Some would say the best ODI side Australia had ever put together. The War brothers, Ricky Ponting, and a fearsome bowling attack. But in Sri Lanka you had a team that had confounded all expectation, not just in the manner in which they play, but in the manner that every team should play. Brilliant at the top of the order, led by Ranathunga, and a team with something to prove. The two worlds came together in that final, and possibly it was the captaincy of Ranathunga that won out.
Australia mightn't accept it, but Arjuna Ranathunga had planned that World Cup campaign, and all sorts of unexpected things went his way, not least the ease of the path of qualification, with people choosing not to go and play in Sri Lanka, and therefore that costing them points and giving points to Sri Lanka without them having to work for them.
The finals of the World World Cup, the Sri Lankans have ignored the history, one may call it that, because the teams batting first in all the previous finals have gone on to win the World Cup, but the Sri Lankans have ignored that, and on winning the toss they have opted to field.
Before the tournament, Australia had refused to play in Colombo on safety fears, and Ranathunga, after hearing this, declared, "I want to play Australia in the final." And when it happened, whilst most people expected Australia to steamroller this relatively new international team, Ranathunga knew that he had more than one way to win.
Well, that's a good shot. He's whacked that away over the top of mid-on. One bounce and over the fence for four. And that's a beauty as well. What a shot. He's decided to finish this quickly. Arjuna de Silva is playing a gem of an innings. After all those years battling away, this is going to be the big prize for them.
And Ranathunga, he knew that he could confound expectation with his openers. He knew he could confound expectation with chasing to win rather than setting a total and suffocating an opponent. He knew he had a middle order, but he knew he had belief. And that belief in the captain bled out into the team. And in the end, it's one of the most famous results in all of cricket history.
That's it, all the way to the boundary for four. What a victory for the Sri Lankans. A fantastic effort by them. Their players are charging out onto the ground. The Aussies shaking them by the hand.
The 96 Sri Lankans were an absolutely stunning team almost from the off, and I think it was the opening pair that was the key to it. Sanath Jayasuriya and Kalawita Rana. Jayasuriya, astonishing batsman, amazing eye. I remember that shot he used to play to a ball on about middle and leg. Just used to pick it up over deep square leg, nonchalantly hit it into the crowd for six. People hadn't really seen that before. The white ball seemed to just soar off his bat into the distance, and he hit obviously over mid-wicket, over mid-on as well. Anything wide, he clattered through the offside. And Kalawita Rana also took risks, but as a right-hander, he was a fantastic foil for Jayasuriya, and that just got the innings going, got it off to an absolute flyer, and then the other batsman just came in and fitted in around them.
Oh, he's got that away. That'll be six over the top. Go and fetch that one. Just a little flick of the wrists. It just kept going and going again, way over the top. Another six to Sri Lanka.
Back in the day, Sri Lanka set the trend in terms of power hitting. Kalu and Jayasuriya at the top of the order changed one-day cricket forever.
Oh, that's coming up here. That's on the roof. It's hit the satellite dish.
Well, I've run out of things to say. I mean, he hits the ball with so much ease. He's graceful with it, and he just lovely full swing of the bat. There's plenty of bottom hand in it, but he doesn't hike it to leg, he just goes through the shot. Super strike.
Sanath Jayasuriya was astonishing in that tournament. He took a lot of people by surprise, not just England, but pretty much everyone. And he was breaking the sort of boundaries of the game at that point, really. He was doing something that had not been done before. This was a completely different level, and the pitches were so good in Asia. The ball was doing so little that he could just hit through the line of the ball. So he revolutionised the game, simple as that.
What a great knock Arjuna de Silva's 100 was in the 96 World Cup final. You need your big players to stand up in big tournaments, and Arjuna certainly did in that final.
Oh, that's a good shot. He's whacked that away over the top of mid-on. One bounce and over the fence for four.
De Silva's 100 in the final was a real
execution of almost the perfect one-day innings.
I think in the sort of history books, people don't pick out Aravinda de Silva as an all-time great, but he probably was. He certainly had everything you needed as a batsman: a range of stroke play, a defensive technique, power and timing.
And that's a beauty as well. What a shot.
Sachin Tendulkar was the player of the hour, the world's greatest player, along with Brian Lara at the time, but Aravinda wasn't so far behind them, and he performed on big occasions.
Oh, beautifully played. That's a great century. A great century made when the chips were down by a fantastic batsman. And that really does tell the story.
He outbatted the Australian bowlers, and it only takes top-class players to do that.
Everyone was with them in that tournament in the final against Australia. And, you know, it was a great thing for cricket, really, for one of the former ICC trophy qualifier from 20 years previously actually going on to win the main event was quite, was quite something for world cricket.
It was a staggering performance for Sri Lanka to win the 96 World Cup. If you bear in mind such a small country, a tiny population, didn't really have a very successful professional infrastructure for cricket, and they came and beat all the big boys and won that final match as well, and they won it with composure as well as outrageous ingenuity. That was the thing. They had excellent bowlers with different styles, with different varieties for different situations. They obviously were very good in Indian conditions, which were quite similar to their own, but they really stunned the world with the way they played and with the composure that they had.
Was it a disappointment for the Australians? Massive, no doubt about the disappointment level, but was it the right result? Yes, it was. Sri Lanka were very good, and it needed a very good side to beat them, and on the day Australia didn't play to that level.
And what a moment. Sri Lanka, world cricket champions. It is a moment that they have been waiting for years, ever since they got test status. This is the moment that they have been waiting for.